when a cold Korean billionaire discovers his secret genius daughter hacked his company. He comes face to face with the black mother his powerful family forced away. Now they're targeting her again. The security breach alarm screamed through Shin Group's 73rd floor. Hanul Kwon didn't flinch.
You think you
He
can
never
challenge me
flinched.
in my domain?
Not anymore.
This
The
ends
cold
now.
Korean billionaire had built his empire on ice, on calculated precision, on absolute control. The kind of control that made men tremble and competitors surrender. "Sir, there's a child in your office. A genius child." His assistant's voice trembled through the intercom, which was unusual. Nothing made Min Seo nervous. Hanul's fingers paused over the acquisition contract that would destroy a competitor by noon. The cold billionaire looked up slowly, his expression carved from winter itself. "A child. She says, she's yours, your secret daughter, sir. She's hacked through every security layer." The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Hanul stood, his 6-foot frame unfolding with predatory precision. His Tom Ford suit didn't wrinkle. It wouldn't dare. This Korean billionaire walked toward his office door, each step measured, controlled. The hallway stretched before him, marble floors reflecting Seoul's skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. He opened the door and saw her. 8 years old, caramel skin, oversized round glasses perched on a small nose, braided hair pulled into 2 puffs. She sat in his leather chair like she owned it, her legs dangling, her fingers dancing across his computer keyboard with terrifying confidence. His genius daughter. "Security protocol bypassed," she said without looking up. Her voice was calm, clinical. "Your firewall has a vulnerability in the 3rd encryption layer. I'd fix that." Hanul's heart, that frozen, useless organ, stuttered. The child turned. Her eyes met his, dark brown, intelligent, observing, and in them he saw a ghost, a memory of warmth he'd buried 9 years ago. "Hello, father," Arya said. "My name is Arya Kwon Sinclair. I'm 8 years old. My IQ is 168, and statistically speaking, you have approximately 47 seconds before my mother arrives to retrieve me." The floor shifted beneath him. "Mother," his voice came out rougher than intended. "Amya Sinclair. You knew her as Amya Williams, though she changed her name after." The elevator chimed. Hanul's head snapped toward the sound. The doors slid open. And there she was. The black mother who changed everything. The woman his wealthy Korean family had threatened and driven away. 9 years dissolved in a heartbeat. Amya Sinclair stepped into his world like thunder rolling into a silent cathedral. The beautiful black mother wore a simple cream blouse and dark jeans, but she moved with a grace that made billion-dollar board members look clumsy. Her natural hair framed her face in soft curls. Her skin glowed with the same warmth he remembered burning him alive in a Harvard library, a lifetime ago. Their eyes locked. The cold Korean billionaire felt his ice crack. Time stopped. "Arya," Amya's voice was steady, but Hanul heard the tremor underneath. "We talked about this." "You talked," Arya corrected, standing on the chair to retrieve her tablet. "I calculated. The probability of emotional resolution without direct intervention was 0.3%. I improved those odds." Hanul couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The woman he'd loved. The woman who'd vanished without explanation, leaving only a note that said, "I can't be part of your world." The woman he'd turned himself into ice to forget. She was here. With his daughter. His secret daughter. "Hello, Hanul." Amya's voice cracked his name open like a fault line. Arya hopped down from the chair and walked to her mother, but her eyes stayed on Hanul. Those analytical, devastating eyes, the eyes of a genius daughter who saw everything. "Your heart rate increased by 47 beats per minute when she entered," Arya observed. "Your pupils dilated by approximately 30%. Respiratory rate elevated. Cortisol levels likely spiking, but that's baseline stress. The epinephrine and dopamine response patterns, however," she tilted her head, "those are consistent with sustained long-term attachment and unresolved emotional bonding." Hanul stared at this impossible child. "In simpler terms," Arya said, adjusting her glasses, "you're still in love with her. You've been in love with her for 3,285 days. And she..." "Arya," Amya's voice held warning, but her eyes betrayed her. They were wet. The child shrugged. Has matching biomarkers. Conclusion, you two should probably talk. The silence that followed could have shattered diamonds. Hanel's world, his carefully controlled, emotionless empire, was crumbling. And standing in the rubble was the black mother he'd died trying to forget, and the genius daughter who'd just proven that some truths couldn't be buried. Not even under 9 years of ice. Not even by a powerful Korean family's threats. But now that family was coming for them again. If your heart just skipped a beat, hit that like button. Subscribe because this story is about to get intense. And comment below, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city. Let's see how global this love story goes. Get out! The cold Korean billionaire's voice was stone. Amya didn't move. Arya sat on the minimalist sofa against the wall, tablet in hand, observing like a researcher studying particle collision. I said, I heard you. Amya lifted her chin. And no. Something flickered behind Hanel's eyes. Anger, maybe something worse. You don't get to show up after 9 years. I didn't show up, she did. Amya gestured to Arya, who waved. Hi. Hanel's jaw tightened. He turned to his assistant hovering near the door. Clear my schedule, no interruptions. Mincio vanished. The door clicked shut. Hanel approached slowly, each step deliberate. He stopped 3 feet from Amya, close enough to catch her scent. Vanilla and amber, the same perfume. After all this time, the same perfume. It gutted him. Why? The word came out like broken glass. That's a broad question, Amya said quietly. Why did you leave? Why did you hide her? Why? His voice cracked. He hated himself for it. Why didn't you tell me I had a daughter? Because your family made it very clear that I didn't belong in your world. Your wealthy Korean family wanted me gone. The room froze. Arya's fingers stopped moving on her tablet. The cold billionaire's expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes shifted. A crack in the permafrost. What did you say? Amya's hands trembled, so she clasped them together. Your grandmother came to me 3 days after you proposed. The powerful matriarch of the Kwon family offered me 500 million won to disappear. When I refused, she explained, very politely, that my presence would destroy your future, that the Kwon family doesn't mix with, how did she put it? Women of questionable background. That's a diplomatic translation, Arya interjected. The actual phrasing included significantly more racist. Arya. The child subsided. Hanel's face had gone white. You're lying. I'm not. Amya's voice didn't waver. She said if I truly loved you, I'd let you build the empire you were meant for. That a black woman with no family, no connections, no pedigree would only be a chain around your neck. And you believed her. Hanel's voice turned vicious. I believed she'd destroy you to protect the family name. Amya met his gaze head on. And I loved you too much to let that happen. The silence stretched. So you just left. Hanel's tone was ice over lava. No explanation, no fight, just a note. Would you have let me go if I'd told you the truth? No. Exactly. Amya's eyes burned. You would have fought your family. They would have dismantled everything your father built. And eventually, you would have resented me for it. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Her voice softened. Because I know you, Hanel. I know you would have chosen me, and I know it would have destroyed you. Arya stood, walking between them with the confidence of someone who'd calculated every variable. She looked up at her father. Your issue, she said, is that you're angry she made a unilateral decision to protect you. Her issue is that she made a sacrifice you didn't ask for. Both positions are emotionally valid but practically incompatible without resolution. Hanel stared down at her. Who are you? I'm the consequence of your Harvard romance and inadequate contraception methods. Arya adjusted her glasses. Also, I'm a genius, and I'm hungry. Do billionaires have snacks? Despite everything, despite the rage and heartbreak and 9 years of frozen grief, Hanel almost smiled. Almost. He pressed a button on his desk. Mincio, send up food, something a child would like. Right away, sir. He looked back at Amya, really looked. She was older, yes. There were faint lines at the corners of her eyes, but she was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Still the woman who'd made him believe warmth existed. How did you survive? He asked quietly. Amya blinked. What? 9 years, alone with a child. How? I'm a nurse, she said simply. I work, Arya helps. I hack occasionally, Arya offered. For good causes. Also, I've won several national mathematics competitions. The prize money is modest but accumulating. Hannel looked at his daughter, a genius, a miniature storm of intellect and bluntness, and he'd missed 8 years of her life. The rage returned, colder than before. You should have told me. I know, Amya's voice broke, but by the time I realized I was pregnant, you were already becoming this. She gestured to him, his tailored suit, his glass office, his empire. The Hannel I loved wouldn't have built this. The Hannel I loved laughed. The Hannel I loved believed in things besides profit margins. That Hannel died when you left. The words landed like bullets. Amya flinched. Arya's expression flickered, the first sign of emotion. She looked at her mother, then her father, calculating something beyond mathematics. You both did what you thought was right, the child said quietly. You were both wrong, and now you're both standing here bleeding and pretending you're not. She walked to the window, staring out at Sol's sprawl. I didn't hack your security just to meet you, father, Arya continued. I did it because Mom cries every year on your birthday, because she keeps a photo of you two hidden in her medical textbook, because she named me Arya, which means air or melody, because she said you were the breath she couldn't take and the song she couldn't sing without you. Amya's breath hitched. Hannel's fists clenched. And you, Arya turned to Hannel, built an empire on ice. You're famous for being unmovable, unbreakable, but your top desk drawer has a single photograph. I saw it when I hacked your personal files. You and Mom, Harvard Library, she's laughing. You're looking at her like she's the only real thing in the world. Hannel's throat worked. So here's the conclusion, Arya said. You're both idiots. You're both still in love. And I refuse to be the child of two emotionally constipated geniuses who are too stubborn to fix what other people broke. A knock interrupted. Mincio entered with a tray, fruit, cookies, juice boxes. Your snacks, sir. Thank you. The assistant retreated. Arya grabbed a cookie and munched thoughtfully. Also, your grandmother is currently in a board meeting 17 floors down. She's planning to present a motion to remove you as CEO if you don't distance yourself from reputational liabilities. She looked at Amya. That's you, Mom. Amya paled. Hannel's expression went nuclear. How do you know that? Arya smiled, a small, dangerous thing. I'm 8, not stupid. Also, I hacked the boardroom cameras. Your Uncle Siakmin has terrible posture and even worse intentions. Hannel pulled out his phone. Mincio, I want a full security audit, every device in this building, and send my grandmother a message, emergency family meeting. Tonight, my penthouse, no excuses. He hung up and looked at Amya. You're not going anywhere. It wasn't a request. Amya lifted her chin. You can't just... Yes, I can. His voice dropped. 9 years ago, you made a decision without me. Now I'm making one. You and Arya stay in Seoul, under my protection, until we sort this out. Hannel, please. The word broke something in both of them. Amya's eyes filled. Hannel stepped closer, close enough that she could feel his heat, his presence, the gravity of everything they'd lost. I don't forgive you yet, he whispered. I don't even know if I can, but that's my daughter, and you, his voice cracked. You're still the only person who ever made me feel human. Amya's tears spilled. Arya munched her cookie, observing. Probability of reconciliation increasing, the child muttered. Good. Hannel's penthouse existed in the clouds. 68th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering sprawl, minimalist furniture. Everything white, black, chrome, beautiful, sterile, like living inside a diamond. Amya stood in the living room, Arya beside her, both holding their meager overnight bags. This is where you live, Amya's voice was soft. Yes. It's cold. It's efficient. Arya wandered toward the bookshelves, walls of them, perfectly organized. She pulled out a quantum physics textbook, flipped through it, then returned it with a disapproving click of her tongue. Outdated, The 2019 edition has better proofs. Hanul almost smiled. I'll order it. A woman appeared from the hallway, mid-50s, kind face, wearing a simple uniform. Sir, I've prepared the guest rooms as requested. Thank you, Mrs. Choi. The housekeeper nodded to Amya and Arya. Welcome. If you need anything, I'm here until 9 p.m. Breakfast is at 7, but I can adjust for the young miss. Thank you, Amya said quietly. Mrs. Choi showed them to their rooms, connected suites with a shared bathroom. Elegant, comfortable, but impersonal like a 5-star hotel. When they were alone, Arya climbed onto the king-sized bed and bounced once. Adequate, she declared. Amya sat beside her, pulling her daughter close. Baby, what you did today was necessary. Was dangerous, Amya's voice trembled. His family is powerful if they already hate us, Mom. Arya looked up, eyes too old for 8. At least now we're not hiding. Amya kissed her forehead. You're too smart for your own good. Genetically inevitable. You're brilliant. He's brilliant. I'm the statistical outcome. A knock. Hanul stood in the doorway, changed into dark slacks and a simple white shirt. Sleeves rolled. No tie. He looked almost human. The family meeting is in 2 hours, he said. I need you both there. Amya stood. Hanul, maybe Arya should. No, Arya hopped off the bed. I'm the reason we're here. I'm staying. Hanul looked at his daughter, this fierce, tiny genius, and felt something crack in his chest. All right. They arrived like generals preparing for war. Yeon Suk-kwon entered first, 55 but timeless, wrapped in Chanel and cruelty. Her hair was pulled into a perfect chignon. Her eyes scanned the penthouse like a sniper assessing targets. She saw Amya. Her expression didn't change, but the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Seok-min followed, Hanul's older brother by 3 years, sharp-suited and sharper-tongued. He'd never forgiven Hanul for being their father's favorite, for inheriting control of Shin Group despite being younger. Well, Seok-min drawled, the rumors are true. Hanul stood by the windows, arms crossed. Amya sat on the sofa, Arya beside her, both silent. Sit down, Hanul said. It wasn't a suggestion. Yeon-suk took the armchair like a throne. Seok-min remained standing, prowling. Explain this, Yeon-suk said, gesturing to Amya and Arya like they were furniture. Explain why you've brought this complication into our home. That complication, Hanul said quietly, is my daughter. Silence. Seok-min laughed. You've got to be kidding. DNA test is already scheduled for tomorrow morning, Hanul continued. But I don't need it, I know. Yeon-suk's gaze slid to Arya. The child stared back, unflinching. She has your eyes, the matriarch admitted. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, Amya's voice was soft, but it carried. You weren't supposed to exist in his world, Yeon-suk said simply. I paid you to disappear. You threatened me into disappearing. Semantics. Arya stood, all 3 feet of her. You're racist. The room froze. Seok-min's eyes widened. Yeon-suk's expression flickered. Excuse me, the matriarch said. Racist, Arya repeated. You view my mother as inferior due to her ethnic background despite her being a medical professional with advanced degrees. That's racism. It's also statistically stupid since genetic diversity improves offspring resilience. Hanul, Yeon-suk said coldly, control your child. She's right, Hanul's voice was winter. You are racist and you lied to me. I protected you. You destroyed us. Yeon-suk stood. That woman would have ruined you. The board would never have accepted her. The shareholders would have. I don't care. The words echoed. Seok-min stopped prowling. Yeon-suk's perfect composure cracked. You don't care, she repeated. I spent 9 years building this empire because I had nothing else, Hanul said. I became the monster you wanted because I thought she'd abandoned me, but she didn't. You drove her away. You lied. You manipulated. And I'm done. Done, Seok-min laughed. You're the CEO. You don't get to be done. Watch me. Hanul pulled out his phone. Min CEO, release the statement. What statement? Yeon-suk demanded. Hanul's phone buzzed. He showed her the screen. Shin Group CEO, Hanul, KWONACKNOWLEDGES daughter. Announces personal leave to prioritize family. The article was already live, already trending. Yoon-suk's face went white. You just destroyed the company's stock value. Probably. Hanul pocketed his phone. I'll fix it later. Right now I'm fixing what you broke. Seok-min moved fast, grabbed Hanul's collar. You selfish. Hanul caught his wrist, twisted. Seok-min gasped and dropped. Touch me again, Hanul said quietly, and I'll remove you from the board permanently. He released him. Seok-min stumbled back, cradling his wrist, fury in his eyes. Yoon-suk stood slowly. You're making a mistake. Probably, Hanul looked at Amya, but it's my mistake to make. The matriarch's gaze turned to Amya. You think you've won. You think because he's emotional right now, you've secured your place. But men like Hanul don't stay soft. He'll remember what you cost him. He'll resent you. And when he does, you'll have nothing. Amya stood, meeting her gaze. I don't want his empire. I never did. I wanted him. And if you'd let us be, we would have built something better than all of this. She gestured to the glass towers, the wealth, the cold. Instead, you created this. Amya looked at Hanul. A man who can't feel, a company built on ice, and a family so obsessed with power they forgot what love looks like. Yoon-suk's jaw tightened. Arya stood beside her mother. You should leave now. Your presence is statistically correlated with emotional harm, and I'd like to eat dinner without systemic oppression as a side dish. Seok-min pointed at the child. That thing. Hanul was across the room in 3 strides. He grabbed Seok-min by the throat and slammed him against the wall. Call her thing again, Hanul whispered, and I'll end you. Seok-min's eyes bulged. Hanul released him. Seok-min collapsed, coughing. Yoon-suk straightened her jacket. This isn't over. Yes, Hanul said, it is. They left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Arya walked to Hanul and took his hand, his large, scarred hand that had just threatened violence. She looked up at him. Thank you, she said simply. Hanul's throat worked. He crouched down to her level. I'm sorry I wasn't there for 8 years. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It feels like it is. Arya tilted her head. Blame is inefficient. Forward action is better, she smiled. Also, you're officially my dad now. That's pretty cool. Hanul's eyes burned. Amya watched them, this impossible, broken man and their brilliant, fearless daughter, and felt her heart shatter and rebuild simultaneously. Hanul looked up at her. Stay, he said. Not a command, a plea. I don't know if we can go back, Amya whispered. Then we'll go forward. He stood, still holding Arya's hand. We'll figure it out together. Amya's tears fell. Arya tugged both their hands. Group hug is traditional in these situations. They laughed, broken, wet, real. And for the first time in 9 years, Hanul felt warm. If you're feeling this tension, if your heart is racing right now, hit that like button. Comment below, Team Hanul or Team Amya, who do you support? And don't forget to subscribe because this story is about to get even more intense. The DNA results came back 99.9% positive. Not that anyone doubted. Arya had Hanul's eyes, his focus, his terrifying intelligence. She was undeniably his. But the confirmation made it real. The media exploded. Secret heir to Shin Empire. KWN's hidden family. Who is the mysterious mother? Amya's face was plastered across tabloids within hours. Nurses at her hospital recognized her. Parents at Arya's school whispered. The carefully quiet life she'd built disintegrated. Hanul hired security, drivers, a PR team. I don't need this, Amya protested. You do now. Hanul was in CEO mode, sharp, efficient, unyielding. My family won't stop. The media won't stop. I need you protected. I can protect myself. Not against this. He was right. She hated that he was right. Arya adapted instantly. She treated the bodyguards like research subjects, asking about tactical training and threat assessment protocols. She gave one of them, a stoic man named Jin, a detailed critique of his stance. Your weight distribution is inefficient for rapid directional changes, she informed him. Jin blinked. I'll work on that. But beneath the chaos, something else grew. Hanul started coming home earlier. He'd find Amya and Arya in the living room, Arya doing advanced calculus, Amya reading medical journals. He'd sit with them, awkward at first, then less so. He learned Arya liked strawberries but hated blueberries, that she could solve differential equations but couldn't tie her shoes efficiently, that she hummed when she was thinking. He learned Amya still took her coffee black with 1 sugar, that she was brilliant under pressure, calm in chaos, that she still bit her lip when she was worried. And they learned he wasn't fully ice, not anymore. Hanul's penthouse library was all glass and shadows. Seoul glittered outside like scattered diamonds. The cold Korean billionaire stood at the window, whiskey in hand, staring at nothing. He heard her before he saw her. Amya, barefoot, wrapped in one of his borrowed robes. It drowned her. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Never could." He didn't turn around. "You." "Arya's having nightmares. First time in years." That made him turn. "About what?" "Your family, the press. She won't say, but I know." Guilt clawed at him. "I'll fix it." "You can't fix everything, Hanul." "I can try." Amya walked to the window, standing beside him, not touching, close enough to feel his heat. "The board met today," he said quietly. "Emergency session. They're threatening a vote of no confidence." "Because of us." "Because they're cowards." His jaw tightened. "Yeon-suk is leveraging every connection. Seok-min is whispering poison. They want me out." "Maybe you should let them win." He looked at her sharply. "What?" "You built this empire because you had nothing else," Amya said softly. "But now you have Arya, you have options. You don't need to fight this." "I'm not giving them the satisfaction." "This isn't about satisfaction. It's about what's worth fighting for." Hanul set down his glass, turned to face her fully. "You," he said, "you're worth fighting for." Amya's breath caught. 9 years ago, I would have burned the world for you," Hanul continued. "I would have walked away from everything, but you didn't give me that choice. You decided for both of us. I was protecting you." "I didn't need protection, I needed you." His voice cracked. "Do you know what it's like to wake up and find the person you love just gone, no explanation, no fight, just a note that said you couldn't be part of my world?" Amya's eyes filled. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "You were doing the easy thing." The words hit like a slap. "Easy?" Amya's voice shook. "You think raising our daughter alone was easy? Working double shifts to pay rent was easy? Watching her ask why she didn't have a father was easy?" "That's not what I..." "You became a statue," Amya's tears spilled. "You think I don't know? I've watched you on the news, read the articles. The Ice Prince of Seoul. The billionaire without a heart. You let them break you." "They didn't break me. You did." Silence. Hanul's hands trembled. He shoved them in his pockets. "I loved you so much it terrified me," he whispered. "And when you left, I had 2 options. Feel everything and shatter or feel nothing and survive. So I chose nothing. I built this empire on numbness. And it worked. For 9 years, it worked." He stepped closer. "Then you walked back into my life, with our daughter, and every single wall I built is crumbling." Amya couldn't breathe. Hanul reached out, almost touched her face, then stopped. His hand hovered in the air between them. "I don't know if I can forgive you," he said, "but I can't let you go again, so what do we do?" Amya's tears fell freely now. "I don't know." "Then we figure it out." His hand finally moved, cupped her cheek. Warm, real. Amya leaned into it, eyes closing. "Your family offered me money again," she whispered. "Yesterday, Yeon-suk's assistant, 20 million won to leave Seoul." Hanul's eyes went dark. "And I told them to go to hell." His thumb brushed her cheek. "That's my girl." The words, so casual, so possessive, unraveled them both. Amya looked up. Hanul looked down. The space between them evaporated. But before their lips could meet, a small voice interrupted. "Probability of reconciliation, 94%. They jumped apart. Arya stood in the doorway, tablet in hand, looking smug. "Arya," Amya gasped. "I couldn't sleep. I came to calculate projected outcomes." The child adjusted her glasses. You were about to kiss. That's progress. I approve. Hanel ran a hand through his hair. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to gather adequate data, Arya yawned. Also, Dad, your whiskey is 30-year-old Macallan. That's fiscally irresponsible. You could buy a car. I have 7 cars. Exactly my point. Despite everything, Amya laughed. Hanel looked at her, really looked. Barefoot in his robe, laughing with their genius daughter. Beautiful, chaotic, real. And he realized something. He was already home. When the Korean billionaire's family strikes, Shin Group's annual charity gala was unavoidable. 2,000 guests, every major player in Seoul's business and political elite, cameras everywhere, the perfect stage for the Kwon family's next attack. Hanel had tried to cancel. The board refused. It's optics, his PR director explained. You need to appear stable, in control. I am in control. Then prove it. So here they were. Amya in a midnight blue gown that made her look like starlight. Arya in a tiny black dress and her ever-present glasses, holding her mother's hand. Hanul in a classic black tux, already regretting everything. They entered together. The ballroom fell silent. Every eye turned, every camera flashed. Hanul felt Amya stiffen beside him. He took her hand, laced their fingers together. Breathe, he murmured. Easy for you to say. Arya looked around with clinical detachment. Elevated heart rates across 73% of attendees. Fear, curiosity, possible arousal in some demographics, though that's statistically irrelevant to Arya. Current threat assessment. A woman approached, elegant, 50s, dripping in diamonds. Hanul, she cooed, we've missed you. Mrs. Park. Her eyes slid to Amya, then Arya. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. And this must be your companion. Amya Jackson, Amya said evenly. His partner, and this is our daughter Arya. Partner. The word hung in the air like a declaration. Mrs. Park's smile tightened. Charming, well, enjoy the evening. She left. 3 more similar encounters followed. Polite venom wrapped in silk. Arya catalogued each one. That woman's Botox is uneven. That man's cologne is compensating for insecurity. That couple is definitely having an affair. Watch the micro-expressions. Arya, stop profiling people. Why? It's entertaining. They made it to their table, breathed. Then Seokmin arrived. He was drunk, not stumbling but loose, dangerous. Well, he slurred slightly. The happy family. Hanel stood. Leave. It's a public event, little brother. I'm allowed. He looked at Amya, really looked, invasive. I see the appeal, Seokmin said. Exotic, different, I bet she was wild in bed. Is that why you kept her? Nostalgia. Hanel moved. Vast. He grabbed Seokmin's collar, yanked him close. Apologize, Hanel whispered. Now. Or what, you'll hit me, in front of everyone, Seokmin laughed. Do it, prove you're just a thug in a suit. Cameras circled, guests watched. Hanel's fist trembled. Then Amya's hand touched his arm. He's not worth it, she said quietly. Hanel looked at her, then at Arya, watching with wide eyes. He released Seokmin. Stepped back. You're pathetic, Hanel said calmly. And you're fired, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Seokmin's face went purple. You can't. I just did. 2 security guards appeared, took Seokmin's arms. This isn't over, Seokmin shouted as they dragged him toward the exit. You'll regret this. Silence. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole ballroom erupted in applause. Hanel blinked. An older man approached, silver-haired, kind eyes, one of the board's senior members. About time someone put that boy in his place, he said. Well done, Hanel. Others murmured agreement. Hanel realized something. The board wasn't united against him. Seokmin and Yeon-suk had been loud, but they weren't the majority. He'd been fighting ghosts. Amya squeezed his hand. Arya grinned. That was 87% more dramatic than I calculated. Well done, father. The rest of the evening blurred. Handshakes. Congratulations. Questions about Arya's education, she corrected 3 professors on quantum theory. When they finally returned to the penthouse, exhausted, Arya immediately collapsed on the sofa. People are exhausting, she declared. Yes, Hannel agreed. Amya laughed, kicking off her heels. Welcome to parenting. Hannel watched them, his 2 girls, and felt something unfamiliar. Contentment. The next morning, Amya received an envelope. No return address, hand-delivered. Inside, immigration documents, a deportation notice, scheduled for 3 days from now. Her hands shook. Arya read over her shoulder. That's illegal, you have a work visa. Which expires in 2 months. Amya's voice was hollow. They're claiming I violated terms by not disclosing a relationship with a Korean national. That's absurd. It's effective. Hannel was in a board meeting. Amya called anyway. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? She told him. Silence. Then, I'm coming home. Hannel, you can't just. Watch me. He hung up. 30 minutes later, he walked through the door, tie loosened, fury in his eyes. He read the documents. Yeon-suk, he said quietly. How do you know? Because she has connections in immigration and she's desperate. He pulled out his phone, made a call. Min Seo, get me the best immigration lawyer in Korea. No, get me the best 5. Conference call in an hour. He hung up, looked at Amya. You're not going anywhere. I might not have a choice. There's always a choice. He cupped her face. I lost you once. I'm not losing you again. Not to my family, not to bureaucracy, not to anything. Amya's eyes burned. What if we can't fight this? Then we leave. She blinked. What? Korea. If they force you out, we'll go with you, all of us. Your company is just a company. His voice was firm. You and Arya are my family. Family comes first. Arya looked up from her tablet. Statistically speaking, that's a significant financial sacrifice. I don't care. The child smiled. Good answer. The lawyers called. 5 of them simultaneously. They strategized. Loopholes, appeals, political pressure. It would take time, maybe not enough. That night, Hannel barely slept. He sat in his office making calls, pulling strings, leveraging every connection. At 3 a.m., Amya found him. You should rest. Can't. She walked behind his chair, placed her hands on his shoulders. He tensed, then relaxed. When did you become this? She asked softly. This person who fights for people. When I realized what I'd lost. Her hand squeezed gently. I'm sorry, Hannel whispered, for becoming ice, for letting them win, for. Stop. Amya leaned down, her cheek against his. We both made mistakes. We both survived them. That's enough. Hannel turned his head, caught her lips with his. Soft, brief, electric. When they pulled apart, both were trembling. I'm still in love with you, Hannel confessed. I never stopped. Amya's tears fell. I know, I never stopped either. Then why does it feel so broken? Because we are broken, but maybe we can be broken together. They kissed again, deeper, desperate. And for the first time in 9 years, the ice finally cracked. Stay with me, we're almost to the end and it's going to be worth it. Comment your predictions, do they make it? Does love win? Drop your thoughts below. The deportation was scheduled for 9 a.m. At 7 a.m., Yeon-suk arrived at the penthouse. Unannounced, uninvited. Hannel opened the door. His expression was glacial. You have 30 seconds. Yeon-suk walked past him, saw Amya packing, Arya watching. It didn't have to be this way, the matriarch said. You're right, Hannel replied. You could have chosen family over control, you didn't. I chose the family's future. No, you chose pride. Yeon-suk turned to Amya. I'm offering one final option, marry him. Everyone froze. What? Amya breathed. Marry Hannel, today. Citizenship through marriage will invalidate the deportation. Yeon-suk's smile was cold. Of course, you'll sign a prenuptial agreement. You'll have no claim to Shin Group assets, and Arya will be raised according to Kwon family standards. Get out, Hannel said. I'm offering a solution. You're offering a cage. He stepped between Yoon-suk and Amya. And we're done taking your deals. Yoon-suk's expression hardened. Then you'll lose everything. I already did, 9 years ago, thanks to you. Hanul, I'm removing you from the board, effective immediately. Seok-min, too. I have the votes. I've spent the last week securing them. You're out. The matriarch's face went white. You can't. I can, and I am. Hanul pulled out his phone, showed her a document. Emergency board resolution, passed at 6 a.m. this morning. You and Seok-min are removed from all decision-making roles. You'll keep your stock, your dividends, but you're done controlling this family. Yoon-suk stared. You destroy your own family. You're not my family, they are. He gestured to Amya and Arya. And I'm done letting you hurt them. For the first time in her life, Yoon-suk-kwon looked old, defeated. She straightened her jacket, lifted her chin. You'll regret this. Probably, but it'll be my regret, not yours. She left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Then Arya spoke. That was statistically satisfying. Amya laughed, wet, broken, relieved. Hanul turned to her. The deportation is still happening, Amya finished. The marriage thing won't work, it's too obvious. Immigration will see through it. Then we appeal, we fight. For how long? Weeks, months, Amya's voice cracked. I can't put Arya through that. So what do we do? Arya stood, walked to them both. We choose, she said simply. They looked down at her. Mom, you've been running for 9 years. Dad, you've been frozen. Both of you are terrified of losing again. But here's the thing. She took both their hands. You already lost, 9 years ago, and you both survived. So stop being afraid of loss and start choosing us. Her words hung in the air. Amya knelt down. Baby. I'm 8, not stupid. I know this is hard. I know you're both scared. But I'm tired of being the consequence of other people's fear. I want to be the result of your courage. Hanul's throat worked. Amya's tears fell. Arya looked at Hanul. Ask her. What? Ask Mom to marry you. For real. Not because of immigration. Not because of your family. Because you love her and you're choosing her. Hanul's heart stopped. He looked at Amya. She looked back. I don't have a ring, he said. I don't need one. I'm still angry. So am I. We're broken. Completely. Hanul dropped to one knee. Amya gasped. 9 years ago, I asked you to marry me in a Harvard library, he said. You said yes, then you left, and I died inside. But I'm not dead anymore. I'm here, you're here, and I don't care about the company or my family or anything else. I just care about you, about Arya, about us. His voice cracked. So I'm asking again, Amya Sinclair, will you marry me? Not to fix immigration, not to spite my family, but because I love you, because I never stopped, because I want to wake up every morning and choose you. Amya sobbed. Yes, yes, you idiot, yes. He pulled her down, kissed her, deep and desperate and real. Arya clapped, finally. The cold Korean billionaire called a press conference that would change everything. Every major news outlet in Korea showed up. Hanul stood at a podium, Amya beside him, Arya on her other side. The genius daughter adjusted her glasses, observing the chaos. Cameras flashed. I've spent 9 years building Shin Group into what it is today, Hanul began. I've sacrificed relationships, health, happiness, all for profit, for legacy, for control. He paused. I'm done. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I'm not leaving the company, but I'm restructuring my priorities. My family comes first, always. He looked at Amya. This woman is the love of my life. She sacrificed everything to protect me, and I'm not letting her go again. He looked at Arya. This is my daughter. She's 8 years old. She's a genius. And she deserves a father who's present, who's human, who chooses love over legacy. A reporter stood. What about the deportation order? We're appealing, and if that fails, we'll leave Korea together, all 3 of us. Gasps. You'd abandon Shin Group. It's just a company. They're my family. Another reporter. What about your grandmother, your brother? They're removed from decision-making roles. The board agreed, unanimously. Why? Because they forgot what family means, and I'm not making that mistake again. He stepped back from the podium, took Amya's hand. We're done here. They left. The media exploded. 3 weeks later, the appeal succeeded. Not through legal maneuvering, through public pressure. Hanel's press conference went viral. Arya's story, genius daughter separated from her father by family manipulation, captured hearts worldwide. Immigration backed down. Amya's visa was extended, indefinitely. They won. They married quietly. No press, no family drama, just them. A small chapel, 20 guests, people who actually mattered. Amya wore a simple white dress. Hanel wore a classic suit. Arya stood between them during the ceremony, holding both their hands. You may kiss the bride, the officiant said. Hanel cupped Amya's face. Hi. Hi. They kissed. The world fell away. When they pulled apart, Arya grinned. Statistically optimal outcome, she declared. Everyone laughed. Shin Group headquarters, Hanel's office. The door burst open. Arya, now 9, the genius daughter who changed everything, marched in wearing a tiny business suit. Dad, I've restructured your portfolio. Your tech investments are bleeding value. Diversify into renewable energy. Hanel looked up from his paperwork, smiled. I'll consider it. Don't consider, act. I've prepared a full report. She dropped a tablet on his desk. You're 9. And you're inefficient. Amya appeared in the doorway. Arya, leave your father alone. I'm helping. You're terrorizing. Same thing. Hanel stood, walked to Amya, kissed her. Hi. Hi, she smiled. Ready for lunch. Always. They left together, all 3 of them. The cold Korean billionaire, the black mother he'd never stopped loving, and the genius daughter who brought them back together. As they walked through Shin Group, past employees, past boardrooms, past the empire the billionaire built, he realized something. None of it mattered. The money, the power, the control. What mattered was the woman beside him, the genius daughter lecturing about stock portfolios, the warmth that replaced the ice. The cold Korean billionaire had lost 9 years. But he'd found his family. And that was enough. If you made it this far, thank you. This story was about a cold Korean billionaire choosing love over legacy, about a genius daughter reuniting her parents, about a black mother's sacrifice and strength, about second chances and broken people finding wholeness together. Hit that like button if you felt something. Subscribe for more stories about billionaire romance, family drama, and love conquering all. And comment below, where are you watching from? What did you think of the cold billionaire's journey? Family isn't blood, it's choice. And Hanel finally chose right.